Page 5. Rather than having two parties on opposing sides with a third party in the middle determining who is wrong and who is right, mediation involves a neutral party, a neutral person, working with the parties towards a common goal, a satisfactory agreement that settles the conflict holistically. It is completely unconcerned with right and wrong. So pretty straightforward. Mediation is not a process, a procedure for determining who is right and who is wrong, but a process that helps parties in dispute to reach satisfactory agreements that settle the conflict holistically. And so the focus is not on right and wrong. Let's continue. Mediation is used to express one's feelings, to reduce hostility, and to establish effective communication, to assist people to understand each other's needs and concerns, to ask questions which reveal the real interest of each side, to raise and clarify issues overlooked or inadequately covered, to assist people to develop and communicate new ideas, to help reframe proposals in more palatable terms, to moderate unrealistic terms, to test receptiveness to new proposals, to help craft agreements which solve current problems, safeguard relationships, and anticipate future needs. Well, that's a lot to chew. They just take them one by one, as many as possible, and then discuss them. So what do we use mediation to do? In addition to the general framework or purpose or focus of it, helping parties to reach satisfactory agreement, and not looking for who is right, who is wrong. So we see here, it helps parties to express their feelings. This is quite straightforward, but later on in the lectures, I would dwell more on the importance of bringing out or understanding feelings of parties in mediation. Reduce hostility and establish effective communication. Again, this is related to feelings, and I will explain more on that as we go on. Suffice to say that hostility blocks effective communication, and so you want to reduce it so that parties can communicate more effectively with one another directly or through the mediator. To assist people to understand each other's needs and concerns, very critical. I will explain later how unmet needs are pivotal to creating conflict. So it's very important that mediation helps people to know what needs are in issue. Ask questions which reveal the real interest of each side. Again, very straightforward. As we go on, we'll learn more on how to make this happen. Raise and clarify issues overlooked or inadequately covered. Again, very important. If issues have been understood, clarified, settled adequately, you probably will not have the conflict. And so The mediation process helps to clarify the issues overlooked and adequately provide for them. Assist people to develop and communicate new ideas. If the ideas that parties were working with or were running with had been adequate enough, they will not be in conflict. So it is clear that they need to develop and communicate and accept new ideas to make them move forward. Help reframe proposals in more palatable terms. Again, very important. The mediator is not a messenger. So she doesn't just take what he's told, and start reporting it from one party to the other. No, he needs to process the what's coming up, the proposals coming up, the options coming up, to ensure that they will be worthy of consideration, not necessarily acceptance, but of consideration by the other party. For the simple reason that some of the proposals, some of the options at first may appear hostile. So a good mediator reframes them to make them more worthy of consideration. Because if they are antagonistic and unacceptable for consideration, there may be a danger, because those proposals and unfriendly looking options may be the way forward. But because there's bitter or put in a way that is offensive, we lose the opportunity of considering them and accepting them. Moderate unrealistic terms. Not everything that everyone says or the party says is realistic. So it's the job of the mediator to work on them. We'll speak to this more as we go on. Test receptiveness to new proposals. Okay, so this new proposals coming up. What do you do with them? New options have been floated. What do you do with them? You need to make sure that they are acceptable. Otherwise, you cannot use them. You have to jettison them. Help craft agreements which solve current problems, safeguard relationships, and anticipate future needs. Okay, so it's not just writing an agreement. It's ensuring that it's done in a way that current problems are adequately provided for, the relationships involved are safeguarded as much as possible, and anticipate future needs. Again, when we talk later specifically about agreements, we'll speak to this very important point. It follows that the mediator, far from determining who is right or wrong, has only the power of education to help a party understand itself, herself, himself, themselves, its needs, its motives and situation, as well as understand the other party. So the mediator doesn't determine who is right, who is wrong. That's the business of a judge or an arbitrator. It is not the business of the mediator. The mediator's critical role is to help each party understand itself and the other party, what their needs are, what their motives are, what their situation is. And so that's the business of the mediator, helping to help an effective communication process, so that there can be more understanding and there can be created a possibility of conflict resolution or that of the particular parties in dispute. So in mediation, parties listen attentively to each other, actively to each other, and try to understand each other's point of view. Parties recognize as legitimate the needs and interests of others, that you cannot sweep them under the carpet. Improve and build on their relationship whenever possible. I already mentioned that. Discuss issues purposefully, systematically, and rationally. The reason for this is very simple. If the issues are muddled up, if there's no focus in considering, analyzing, and looking at them rationally, and the opportunity to resolve the conflict may be lost. Look for joint solutions, of course, because what becomes the decision in quote at the end is an agreement, and so it has to contain joint solutions, not the imposition of one party or a third party. Look for new options. Ideas, and ways to make decisions easy for each other. I spoke to this already. Ideas are coming up. They have been noted by the mediator. Excuse me. So we need to not only find those options, ideas, and ways to make decisions easy for each other. We must not only, we must actively look for new options to resolve the conflict in issue. Now, I mentioned somewhere in the lectures that my colleague in mediation has said the critical role of the mediator is to float new options. And I agree totally with him. From the new options being floated at the mediation room that we find a potential solution. Of course, it's when they are agreed, they become joint solutions, and that's constitute the agreement. So, but if we don't get to float the options, what is the new agreement going to hang on? So those new options must be thought out. New ideas must be thought out, and new ways to make decision easy for each other must be thought out. Keep difficult problems in perspective, not permitting them to prevent agreement on other issues, and breaking them into smaller component parts so that they may be addressed singly. Where all else fails, seek a specific and amicable agreement to disagree, thus safeguarding areas of agreement and providing for some sort of relationship in the future, and allowing for regular review of the situation. So what are we saying here? One of the things the mediator does, or the mediation process does, is to keep difficult problems in perspective. So it says, well, these ones are difficult to resolve now. So let's put them aside for a while, so that they don't prevent argument on other issues that can be resolved. And you then come back after resolving the not too difficult issues. We come back to the more difficult issues and break them into component parts so that they may be addressed in those component parts. And then by doing that, we're able to, of course, find a better way to resolve them, easier ways to resolve them. Where everything fails, mediation seeks a specific and amicable agreement to disagree. So it's not every time that you get an agreement. You can have a set of situation like in an agreement, and one of the choices of the party may well be an agreement to disagree. We can't. This relationship must end. We can't continue with it. But of course, we know that that one relationship ends doesn't mean that all the relationship end, because really, as long as I argue somewhere else in this lecture, as long as we are alive, we have a relationship with one another. so that the parties cannot agree on some issues or cannot agree on some aspects of their relationship does not mean that they cannot work out some things to deal with the future. And of course, also, providing you could, while agreeing to disagree, for now, make provision for regular review of the situation, because the fact that we are having a misunderstanding or disagreement today does not mean tomorrow it will not change. I think we should stop here for now. Then we'll continue the lecture tomorrow. Thank you very much again for joining me. Remember to please post your comments, and then also, very importantly, you can get copies of this of the book, How to Resolve a Conflict, in various formats. If you go on Amazon.com, you'll be told what to do. Thank you so much.